Ever get a letter so outrageous it makes you laugh first, and then 2 minutes later you're halfway to a heart attack? Yeah, that was me standing on my porch stake, half cooked inside, staring at a manila envelope that felt heavier than a brick. Let me back up a second, because this isn't some neighbor drama over noisy dogs or a mailbox in the wrong color. This is the story of how one piece of mail tried to erase everything I built, and how a mountain, a stubborn streak, and a hell of a lot of receipts fought back. I'm Miles Savage. The cabin built it with my own hands, every log, every nail back, when grief made it impossible to sit still after losing my dad. Inherited the land 5 years ago, 38 acres of Pine Ridge, and a view so wide you swear you can see tomorrow rolling in. It's not fancy, but it's honest. Solar on the roof, stone chimney porch that faces the edge of forever. So there I am, Friday evening, just got in from town, unpacking for a weekend of quiet and maybe too much bourbon when I spot that envelope propped against my screen door. No return address, but the kind of weighty paper, means lawyer trouble. It doesn't flutter, doesn't bend. It sits there like a dare. Crack it open, and sure enough, Selby Legal Group. 2 pages of, "Dear Mr. Savage, our client, Miss Karen Selby." And by line 3, I realize she's accusing me of building on her land. Claims I've got 30 days to tear down my cabin or she'll sue me for over $500,000. Now Karen Selby, oh, I know that name, lives 400 yards downslope in a glass palace that probably cost more than my dad's whole ranch. Met her once at a county meeting, sunglasses indoors, voice like a judge's gavel, acting like no was a language she'd never had to learn. But this wasn't some HOA warning about paint chips or grass height. This was legal war, and she wanted me out. Only she had no idea who she was dealing with. See, I'm 3rd generation in land surveying. Archive room sounds fancier than it is, but I've got a wall full of every plat deed and aerial photo ever tied to this ridge. Dad did high-altitude survey work for the feds in the 80s, and if there's a measurement on this land, I've got it logged, stamped, or laminated. So I pulled the original 69 deed, a 1972 survey drone, GPS logs, a half-dozen legal docs, enough proof to choke a coyote. My cabin's been right where it's supposed to be since Nixon. Midnight comes and goes as I draft a rebuttal polite, barely attach every scrap of evidence, and threaten a countersuit for harassment and attempted fraud if she doesn't back down. Next morning, I hand-deliver the letter into town. And then nothing, not a peep. Week goes by and I think maybe it's over, but nope. That's when the sheriff's deputy rolls up my road eyes, tired like he's been refereeing HOA fights all day. Civil summons in hand. Sorry, bud. She's suing for real. Court date set. She's dragging me into court for unlawful encroachment and demanding I demo the cabin. That's the moment I switched gears. No more panic, just method. I went full surveyor mode, started stacking evidence, building the kind of case that would make her regret ever touching a plat map. First day in court, I sit across from Karen. She floats in like she owns the Air Designer Heels black folder, and not a single glance my way. Her lawyer, Bradley, all teeth and slicked back hair, keeps smiling like he thinks the judge cares. Judge Weller asks if I'm representing myself. For now, Your Honor, I say, and request time for an independent geodetic survey. The judge grants it 10 business days to bring the evidence. Outside, Karen hisses, "You're wasting your time." I just smile. I've got plenty, and all the original maps. She peels off in a Range Rover, and I start dialing. I know exactly who to call: Haley Dumont, aerial imaging genius, and Rick Bowman, my old fieldwork buddy who's mapped more danger zones than a storm chaser. They're up at the cabin within 72 hours. We go to work, flag the ridge drive stakes, lay out tapes, drone runs, GPS sweeps, and then start digging into the county's GIS overlay, which, get this, shifted my boundary west by 130 feet. On paper, my cabin looks like it's trespassing. But reality. Our survey peels back the truth. Karen's glass palace. 60% of it's built smack on my land. Her wine cellar, koi pond, the works. Rick's jaw drops. She didn't just trespass, she built a whole kingdom on your soil. And here's the twist. No permits, no legal record, just a fake trail of paperwork tying her mansion to a parcel she never owned. Haley finds the nail in the coffin, an old aerial from 1980 annotated by my dad, showing the untouched slope, the true line, unbreakable evidence. We build a forensic report line up every map, deed, and GPS log and prep a case so tight you could bounce a quarter off it. 10 days later, I walk into court with a binder thicker than a dictionary and a thumb drive full of 3D models, drone video, everything. Karen's got a new lawyer now. Feldon Oldermean clearly thinks this whole thing is beneath him. Judge Weller gives me the floor. I present evidence, lay out the fraud, the forged docs, the emails between Karen and her contractor. The final blow, her own words. If we adjust the boundary, we can anchor the deck up the ridge. He only comes up there sometimes anyway. The courtroom goes quiet as the judge soaks it in. Then another bombshell. The judge reveals there's already a county investigation into irregularities with the boundary data. Jackpot. Greg, my attorney, and I trade a look. Now it's not just a civil fight, it's going criminal. A couple weeks later, detectives and a DA team serve a warrant on Karen's house. They pulled 2 maps from her office, one a revised master site plan pushing her line over my cabin, the other digital files for an unbuilt spa resort, all planned for my land. And there, in her drawer, an email thread, "Surveyors don't sue. We just need the clerk to push it through quietly. I'll deal with Savage if he squawks." Well, I didn't squawk. I sued. The DA moves forward with fraud charges. Karen scrambles, shows up in town, snaps at clerk's files. Desperate motions, even tries claiming adverse possession, as if you can steal land and then claim squatters' rights. The local news gets wind boundary battle in the high country, and suddenly I'm fielding calls from other landowners, even a county commissioner. Then comes the day the court hands down its ruling. 10 pages. At the top, full and rightful ownership of the disputed parcel to Mr. Miles Savage. Karen has 30 days to either remove her mansion or sell it to me at a court-depreciated price. She goes radio silent. Her 4th lawyer tries to argue about fixtures and salvage, but the court backs us. And then the real storm hits: felony indictments for fraud, false documents, conspiracy. The press goes nuts. News vans on the Forest Road parody, Twitter accounts, even memes. County puts her house up for auction. Nobody bids but me, $1. Now I own A plus $4.3 million glass fortress I never wanted. First thing I do, bring in forensics, sweep the place, catalog every piece of evidence. Turns out Karen wasn't just greedy. She had a whole list of other target properties she was scheming to steal. I hand the files to the DA and call my crew. Standing in that empty living room surrounded by glass walls, I tell Haley and Rick, we're turning this place into something good. An education center, a fortress for people like us. And that's exactly what we do. Savage Boundary Center for Land Rights and Survey Justice. Workshops Legal help drone demos, all right here. First class, 15 people from 3 states. One guy in tears because he finally learned how to keep his land from getting stolen out from under him. Karen. Last. I heard she vanished. Rumor says Nevada, maybe Canada. Hiding behind shell companies. Doesn't matter. Justice rolls slow, but it doesn't quit. I sleep at the cabin, still always will. The mansion. Now it's a center for truth, not a monument to fraud. And you know, some nights I sit out on the porch watching the ridge and I remember how easy it would have been to roll over to let the system win. But that's not me. I held the line, turned it into something permanent, something nobody can erase. So let me ask you, if it were your land, your story, would you have backed down or dug your heels in? Drop your answer in the comments. Share your own stories about fighting back, about what justice means where you live. Because at the end of the day, the lines we hold aren't just about property, they're about who we are. And out here, that means everything.